Since October 7, 2023, Israeli military raids and settler violence has surged in the occupied West Bank. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed and thousands injured. More than a dozen countries, including the US, have condemned the violence. The White House has even announced sanctions against several Israeli settlers. But tens of thousands of Americans live in illegal settlements, and many serve in the Israeli military. People in Power investigates the role US citizens play in Israel's occupation and settlement expansion.
חיילינו הגיבורים חייבים לשמוע את הקריאה שלנו בעזה.
Hundreds of Israelis are attending this pro-war rally in Jerusalem, supporting the bombardment of Gaza of far-right settlers and American dual nationals.
Since October the 7th, there has been a spike in violence carried out by Israeli settlers against Palestinians, and as a result, the United States has said that they will impose visa restrictions on those carrying out the violence. But some Palestinians say that this doesn't go far enough because the relationship between the United States, the occupation, and settlers runs deep.
ראש הממשלה והקבינט המלחמה חייבים לשמוע את הקריאה והדרישה שלנו לניצחון מוחלט. אויבינו הרבים חייבים לשמוע ולהבין שעם ישראל ינצח וישמיד את כל מי שינסה לפגוע בו. ניצחון! ניצחון!
In February 2024, after mounting pressure, US President Joe Biden issued an executive order sanctioning 4 Israeli settlers accused of violence and intimidation against Palestinians. Since then, more settlers and settlements have been added to the list. But the US remains Israel's closest political ally and continues to give it more military aid than any other country in the world.
Mr. President, you're meeting with our united war cabinet to lead Israel to victory.
Israel has the right, and I would add responsibility, to respond to the slaughter of their people. And we will ensure Israel has what it needs to defend itself against these terrorists.
If you could describe the relationship between the United States and Israel in one sentence, what would you say?
Let's get Trump back in, because let's
keep this broader.
Okay,
let's keep it broader.
I'm going to say that.
We need the support of both parties. They got to start thinking a little bit more like the enemies. I mean, the United States and Great Britain, their forces are being shot at in the Middle East also. And what, are they going to let that happen? We have to draw the line and say enough. They don't understand restraint. They don't understand negotiation. They understand force and power. So you smack them, punch them in the face, and knock them down.
It's a different mentality in the Middle East. We have children who are fighting for the IDF, and that puts us in a little different position as well.
Since the Hamas attack on October 7th, when at least 1,139 were killed and 240 people taken hostage, Israel has carried out one of the most intensive bombing campaigns against a populated area in history, so far killing at least 33,482 people and displacing 85% of the population.
There's been a lot of coverage about accusations of war crimes that have been committed by members of the Israeli forces. Do you think that is an issue there for American dual nationals to be in an army that has this accusation put against them?
The Israelis, we're accused of war crimes whether we commit them or not. We have suffered so many more losses of our guys and of our men and women in battle because we don't go in and carpet bomb the way they think we do. Why should that building, it's a death trap, why should we send our guys in there? Just knock it down, knock it down.
לא עוצרים עד שמנצחים. לא עוצרים עד שמנצחים.
Human rights groups accuse the Israeli military of collective punishment, arbitrary executions, torture, and starvation. Israel continues to blame Hamas for its actions, while the US vetoed multiple calls by the UN for a ceasefire. And despite Biden's executive order, Palestinians living under occupation say they face increasing restrictions on movement, while settlers accused of violence enjoy near impunity. Settlers are Israeli citizens who live in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, Palestinian territory which has been occupied by Israel since 1967. There are now around 700,000 settlers. The 3 million Palestinians there are ruled under military law. Since October 7th, more than 430 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli soldiers or settlers in the occupied West Bank. 29-year-old Zakaria Al-Adra lives in Msafiriyata, a collection of Palestinian villages which have faced years of attacks and systematic forced displacement by Israeli settlers and the military. On the 13th of October, a settler shot him in the stomach. He now has trouble walking and eating and is in constant pain. There's a cell phone video of the attack.
يعني 7 شهر يوم الحرب صار المستوطن ماخذ زي يستخدم زي كأنه جندي، يلبس عبس جيش ويطلع على البيوت يسوي مشاكل مع الناس، أي واحد يعترض ويطخه عادي. شي منطقة ذلة والحرية فيها. هو حامل سلاحه في ايده هيك ماشي. ضربني بسلاحه هون، اطلق النار وطخني في صدر من المنطقة هذه.
Can you describe that moment? Did you know what was happening to you?
الرصاص اللي طخه يعني مش رصاص عادي، يعني كمان الرصاص الدمدم هذا اسمه بنفجر فجر. ضرب فانا في عظام صدري من تحت وانفجر. بالخشين 3 شب بيطلع منه شفرات، خشين جوا بطني من هون. أنا حطيت إيدي على بطني من يوم ما هو أطلق النار، كانت فتحة 9 سنتي.
وش صار ورا طقوك؟ وقعت للقاع؟
وقعت على الأرض، يعني أنا ما كنت شايف، يعني بعدين شفت الدنيا كلها سمرة، يعني أنا مش شايف ولا شيء الحين. بعاني شوي، أنا امبارح روحت من المستشفى الساعة، في المستشفى 82 يوم، أنا ما شفت أطفالي من مرة. يعني مصدق أخذ ثقة خلاص، أخذ حريته إنه هذا بيشتغل بده إياه الحين.
Zakaria says the shooter came from the direction of Havat Ma'on, an illegal outpost in the southern Hebron Hills. Rights groups say it has a history of violent harassment of Palestinians, yet according to recent media reports, has received private US funding. This isn't uncommon. US residents have funneled millions of dollars of tax-deductible donations into illegal settlements, which violate international law and play a significant role in the expulsion of Palestinians from their land. Around 20 kilometres north is Hebron City, one of the starkest symbols of the occupation. It's home to around 200,000 Palestinians and 1,000 settlers. Hagit Ofran monitors settlements and their expansion for Israeli campaign group Peace Now.
In order to protect this small group of settlers inside a Palestinian city, the Israeli army sealed a whole neighborhood from the presence of Palestinians. The heart of the old city, where you had all the shops, are closed for 30 years already for Palestinians. And there are parts of the streets that they are not even allowed to walk. Since October 7, the whole area became even more restricted. For instance, as I was walking up here, I saw a Palestinian house where the roof of it is taken as a military post.
What, so they just take over the roof of their home and...
They have a military order, it's called the seizure order, and the commander say, I need this property for the security of the area, and I take it temporarily.
So this family has to eat, sleep, go about their day while there is an occupying force on their roof?
Sometimes it's not only on the roof, sometimes it can be in the next room. All of it is for the security needs.
Suddenly, our interview is interrupted. So every time we do an interview, we're met with soldiers.
They are sent here, I believe, to check if we are a threat or whatever.
I need to see your ID, please. You have authorization from the Israeli government to be here?
They know that we're here.
It's okay that you're telling me, but we need authorization.
Yeah, but I'm just, as well, just so you know.
Tell the guy here not to film us.
If they sent here terrorists from Al Jazeera, we have to make sure you're not.
Where's your accent from?
Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
After checking our documents, they finally left.
What was really interesting is I just spoke to one of the soldiers and he told me that he was from Michigan and a dual national. How many of these settlements that you're talking about are funded by US residents?
We cannot really know how much money is going directly from funds or charities, American charities, to settlements. There are many settlements that get funds from charities in America. You can also look at, the Americans give Israel X amount of billions for our security, so it frees X amount of billions for other causes for Israel. So you can say that it's indirectly support the settlements.
Do you think that there's any desire to try and limit people living on land that is deemed illegal internationally?
I don't see this still in the United States, any big opposition to the very settlements. What we saw is like the first step, and I think it's not insignificant. It is an important step, and it puts a lot of political pressure within Israel, and it's bringing the issue of settler violence to the headlines in Israel, which is something very, very significant. But of course, this will not end the occupation.
The soldier we met isn't the only American in the West Bank. According to a study by Oxford University released in 2015, 60,000 settlers living in the occupied Palestinian territory are also American citizens. They're playing a significant role in enforcing the occupation. As we travelled through the city to meet Palestinians, we witnessed just how difficult it was to move around. There are many Israeli checkpoints. Some denied us entry.
We're trying to find a different route to get to the Palestinian that lives in this area of Hebron. Hi.
Can we see the IDs, please? Yes. How do you guys get in? Through the gate over there?
Yeah. Is that an issue? So this is the situation in Hebron now. There's a lot of security and it's very difficult to move around.
Over there it's called the red area.
But there's no signs on the gate. There's literally none.
I'm telling you.
مرحبا هاي تمام اهلا وسهلا
This is Isa Amro. He lives on the other side over here. He's a local resident of Hebron. Told us that he was attacked after October the 7th. He's now trying to communicate with the Israeli soldiers to see if we can pass through.
אני יודע מותר לעיתונאים ייכנסו מתמר.
מותר לעיתונאים שהם אזרחים זרים, מי שלא גר פה ואין לו תעודת לעם, הוא לא יכול להיכנס.
ויש להם פספורט.
בסדר, איסה יודע הכל, הוא יודע את כל הנהלים, הוא מכיר את הכל.
הוא היה עסוק, לא אפילו ענה לי בטלפון.
אז פעם הבאה דבר עם איסה, הוא יודע את כל הנהלים, הוא מכיר כבר את הכל.
We didn't expect this to be the first meeting, sorry.
This is the reality. This is how the life. أهلا وسهلا.
أهلا وسهلا. شلونك? So this is the reality of Hebron.
I am living here since almost 17, 18 years.
You literally have to get through a dozen soldiers just to get to your home. And people can't just come and visit
Nobody
you.
can come to visit me. Only the people who are living inside the area are allowed to come here. So this is an occupied Palestinian land by the Israeli settlers, and they usually attack Palestinian families here and here. They attacked us.
Isa Amro says that on October 7th, he was attacked and detained by both settlers and Israeli soldiers, and that in the days after his release, he was also forced out of his home for weeks. We put Isa's claims to the Israeli military, but we didn't hear back.
I was tortured. I was almost killed. I was coming from here to my house, the way you came, and settlers in an army uniform, who are my neighbors, I was kidnapped by them. I was kept for 10 hours, handcuffed, blindfolded, gagged, beaten, sexually assaulted. They pointed the gun and they put it on my head and count to 10. I fainted 2 times without any medical treatment, spitting at me, saying bad things to me. They were celebrating, torturing me for 10 hours continuously.
And you thought you were going to die?
I said goodbye to everything. You know, I thought that it's my last moment.
And recently we've been hearing from the United States, from some European countries, that they are going to impose visa restrictions on settlers who were convicted of carrying out attacks. What did you think when you heard this?
I can say that it's a kind of public opinion satisfaction. The settlers who are attacking Palestinians are only 4 now in the West Bank. There are 10 Palestinians killed by settlers directly. Where are they? And many American citizens here, there are many American citizens, they live here illegally inside Hebron as settlers. They should take them to American courts and treat them as war criminals. To be very honest, they should be brought to the ICC. Nobody was accountable for what happened to me and to many other Palestinians. And the settlers are not the only one who are attacking Palestinians. The Israeli soldiers who are settlers in an army uniform. There are many settlers joined the army and they kill Palestinians. If you want really to make them accountable, make Israel accountable. The settlers, they are backed up by the Israeli government. They are supported by the Israeli government. They are financed by the Israeli government. So let's go after the Israeli government and stop them and dismantle all the Israeli settlements according to the international law.
The White House recently reversed Donald Trump's policy on Israel's settlement expansion, declaring them inconsistent with international law. Yet organizations like the One Israel Fund, an American not-for-profit exempt from federal tax, claims it's raised millions of dollars for settlements.
Hamas sent us a message on October 7th. Never again is now.
One of its prominent ambassadors is Gabriel Boxer, who regularly promotes and fundraises for settlements and Israeli soldiers.
Boom shakalaka!
In February, he also accompanied the Israeli military as it bombed Gaza.
Wow, that's all I can say. Right behind me is hostile enemy territory that we learned what really they believe after October 7th.
We are now approaching the cave of the Machpelah. This huge structure is the burial place of the patriarchs and matriarchs of the Jewish people.
It's also a holy site for Muslims, the Ibrahimi Mosque. In order to get around the region's strict military control, we met with David, an American-Israeli tour guide.
So what do you say to those in America who say that there should be more sanctions on even the funding of settlements by private US residents?
I think that the people who claim that they support the Palestinians are not aware of the facts on the ground, are either being fed misinformation intentionally or imagining events that are not actually happening.
David takes us to Maale Adumim. It's rare access to a highly secured and gated settlement which has received donations from the One Israel Fund. Around 700 settlers live in this sprawling suburban-style luxury community. We're met by Gideon Ariel, an American-Israeli settler who's lived here for 11 years.
Different places. Here's my home.
Oh,
watch your head when you pass by the flag that my kids put up.
I'll let you lead the way.
This is the view that that sold me on Maale Adumim. My wife has a cousin who lives here, and we would come from time to time for the holidays. And one day her husband took me outside and said, "You see this house next door? You can have it for 250,000 shekels," which was a pittance in the time.
Why is it important to live in a community like this?
Well, first of all, why is it important to live anywhere? A person lives where they want to live. And this is, as you can see, a beautiful place. Historically, God promised Abraham, this is the land that is going to belong to you and to your children forevermore. Right here in my backyard. Well, it's Shabbat. Tomorrow is Shabbat. So my wife, Deborah, here is preparing for Shabbat. Deborah, Boker Tov.
Are you also American? Yeah. Every time I hear an American accent, it's like
What's going on?
Yeah.
Where am I? We have people here from all different places of the world. We have people here from United States, from Russia, from India, from Germany, from Ethiopia. You name it, in just a small community of 100 families.
There's going to be people watching who are going to say, What the hell is an American doing in this land?
Because they are all Jews. We are all Jews who were exiled from this land about 2,000 years ago. We kept that connection to the land all throughout those millennium, and now, thanks to God, we are coming back to our land.
If the United Nations says that there has been a significant increase in attacks from settlers, and then also, as this area is called by the United Nations, an occupation that is illegal under the Geneva Convention, then it is only right for the United States to take action. How do you respond to that?
It is not illegal for me to raise my children here. I'm not bothering anybody else. This land never belonged to anybody else. It was always state land. We're going to decide what's best for us. We've established a state which is thriving, which is helping people all over the world, and nobody's going to tell us what we can do or what we can't do. I'm sorry.
Israeli rights groups say part of the settlement is built on private Palestinian land. In August, around 500 meters away, settlers from an unknown location, armed with M16 rifles, were filmed physically assaulting a Palestinian farmer.
How would you feel about potentially having Palestinians live here?
This specific community is a small community and it wants to stay a small community. And we're also all religious Jews over here.
So not here, but in other places?
Yeah, in general. However, it's very important that Jews stay the majority, and even though we believe in democracy, very much so, we believe in the only place for Jews to live and call it their own.
The UN describes settlements and the displacement of Palestinians as a major obstacle to peace in the region. At the heart of this obstacle are American citizens and groups like the One Israel Fund. One of the settlers accused of violence and sanctioned by both the US and the UK is Bar Yusuf, shown here on the One Israel Fund website, thanking them for donating a drone.
These are the guys who are really responsible for preventing terror and saving lives and fighting the bad guys.
Funding is often used to support Israeli paramilitary groups with surveillance equipment like drones, vehicles and helmets.
Missing a lot of equipment they needed before, but now, because of all the donations, they've been able to receive a lot of stuff they wanted.
And thank God we will be improving the security of all Judea and Samaria, so thank you all.
Thank you very much.
In the US, there's increasing pressure to explicitly ban the funding of settlements by groups like the One Israel Fund, who did not respond to our repeated requests for comment. For now, American dollars continue to fund settlements and soldiers, while Palestinians like Asa bear the brunt of the occupation.
There is a drone up here just now. Do you think they know we're doing an interview? What is this?
Israeli settlers, they have drones to film us, to intimidate us, to spy on us, and now it's only on us.
So they're filming us?
They are filming us now. It happens almost every day. Whenever I have visitors, I have journalists who are here, it's a kind of that we are watching you.
What do you think America needs to do?
America needs to work hard to punish the Israeli government, to punish the Israeli settlers' leaders, and to punish the Israeli settlement organizations and NGOs, and even to start with themselves first, to stop the $3.8 billion aid to the Israeli military every year, and make it conditional on ending the Israeli occupation and ending the Israeli settler violence and ending the Israeli apartheid here. And they should start with their own people to stop them from funding the Israeli settlers terrorists here. It's really important that this should start first in their own countries according to their legal system.